Hi everybody, for your T's and train tracks part 2 lesson here, I'm going to be doing your practice problems in this Desmos website. So go ahead and click on the self-paced lesson in for Nearpod, but also click on the link that takes you to this online graphing tool called Desmos. Now if you ever forget exactly what the website is, it's just desmos.com, and we're going to be using the graphing calculator here. So the cool thing about this graphing calculator is if you don't have a fancy calculator, this tool is free and you can graph with it. So you can zoom out for a bigger picture, know that the boxes will change as you zoom out or in. You would use this left side to input either equations or tables or even just a point, and it will graph it for you. So some of you who are unsure about how to graph points again, this is a great tool to remind yourself. So for example, if I were looking for the point 3, 1, that's where that point is right here. Remembering that points are classified as x, y, meaning that we would go 3 in my x direction, positive, and then up 1, because it is also positive in my y direction. If we had some negative points here, let's say -1, -4. I need to zoom out here and move my view. So here we have -1, -4. Okay, so that's going in my negative x direction 1, and then negative y direction 4. Okay, so that is a great tool to graph. You can also hide points if you don't want to look at them anymore, but you still want to keep them on your graph, or you can completely delete them. Now, in this lesson, we're talking about perpendicular slopes of lines. Let's first talk about vertical lines. Now, vertical lines are going to be in the form of x equals some number, and let's just choose 2. The reason why it's not some sort of y equals mx plus b is because when we want a vertical line, there's actually not technically a slope. The slope is considered undefined. Okay. On a vertical line, it is x equals 2 because it's showing me on my x-axis, my value is always going to be 2, and it doesn't matter what my y is, which is why we have no y that is a part of this equation. So now we're going to look at one of the questions that you have, and it says to graph, or give me the equation of a horizontal and a vertical line that goes to the point 2, -1. So let's just remind ourselves where that point is here. 2, -1 here is this kind of dark purple, almost blue dot. And starting with my vertical line, we've got 2, which we had already plotted prior. That vertical line does go through the point 2, -1. When we talk about horizontal lines, that's when we have my y equals something. And it's just going to be a singular number wherever y is. And in this case, since we have a point 2, -1, and we want it to cross through that point, that means my y value has to be -1 at all times. So now we see our horizontal line of y equals -1, my vertical line of x equals 2, and they both go through this point of 2, -1. Hopefully we see a slight pattern here. If given a point, my horizontal and vertical lines will correspond to my x and my y. Alright? I'm going to clear this graph so that I can go ahead and do the next one. The next one was saying Now we initially are given this equation x equals 5, and I want a perpendicular line that goes through the point 1 comma 0. So first off, I need it to be perpendicular to this vertical line, meaning that we're going to have a horizontal line, and I need it to go through this point 1 comma 0. My y value is at 0, so that means my horizontal line should be y equals 0. Alright? So we have this set here. Moving on to the next problem. Clearing my board once again. I am now given y equals -2. I want my perpendicular line to pass through 5 comma 6. So let's take a look. I have a horizontal line and I have a point. If I want a perpendicular line, that must mean I'm looking for a vertical line. Vertical lines are in the form of x equals, and since I want it to go through the point 5 comma 6, my x value has to equal 5. So as we see, perpendicular to my original line, y equals -2, and it is indeed going through the point 5 comma 6. So if you ever want to check your work, again, Desmos is such a great resource for you guys. And let's try some of these other ones, because there were ones that were not vertical or horizontal lines. So graphing this one, y equals 2x plus 1, that is your line for this equation. We're told that we want a line that is perpendicular to that and passes through 6 comma 2. Alright? Now, one of the things that we know about perpendicular lines is that the slope has to be the opposite sign and the reciprocal. Okay? So let's start off with that. We know that my new equation has to be in the form of y equals -1/2 x. Okay, so it is with that slope, but I'm going to need to find a new y-intercept so that it goes through this green point that was given. In order to do that, we're going to plug in values of my point here into this equation to solve for this b that I don't know. Okay. The cool thing about Desmos is we can add this slider and kind of pass it through to figure out that point there. So if you are having trouble with solving out the algebra part, make sure you come to Desmos, try out this slider. Use the y equals your perpendicular slope x plus b, and then you can solve for b by moving this slider. So here we made sure that it's going through that green point that we wanted it to, and it's telling me that my b, my y-intercept, should be 5. So my equation for this answer should be y equals -1/2 x plus 5. Alright? Let's see that one more time on this next problem. So our next problem, final one that we're going to talk about today, is y equals -3/4 x. Okay, we want it to pass through point 3 comma -8. So again, I need a perpendicular slope, which is the opposite sign of -3/4, and the reciprocal, so the flipped fraction. So I'm going to have to start off with y equals +4/3 x. So we do see that they're perpendicular. But let's take a look at where is my point. We needed to go through this point here. So I need to solve for a new y-intercept of b, and let's see where it needs to go. If I go to the right, I'm not moving in the right direction of my point. So I think we have to go down to the left. And let's see, doesn't look like we're going to make it. So I wonder if we can go ahead and increase this value. Let's go to negative 20. Right. So let's move it down all the way. And now it is overlapping my point that I needed it to go through. And it's telling me that my b should be negative 12. So my equation of the perpendicular line to y equals negative 3/4 x and goes through the point 3 comma negative 8 is y equals 4/3 x minus 12, right? So that is your recap for this lesson. Make sure that you do use Desmos if you need it. Make sure you also get into Mathia and do at least one workspace today. And I will see you guys again next time.